too. But Derrick, I'm glad we're here and we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, the first thing I want to get to is last night's Thursday Night Football. Usually we do this in the second half of everything. I want to talk about it first because the game was kind of a snooze fest. Four interceptions by Mason Rudolph. It looked like Cleveland was all but winning the game. I took and I'd actually turned it off. Then all of a sudden I get a message from you saying, "Are you watching this game right now?" And I'm thinking, "There's no way the Steelers have made a comeback, right?" And then what I seen actually made me sick to my stomach a little bit. It was not a football play at all, was it?
No, it wasn't. Myles Garrett takes the helmet off Mason Rudolph, quarterback for the Steelers, and hits him over the head with it. It was disgusting. Disgusting play. Yeah, I know that there was, pushing and shoving on both sides, and there might have been smack talking on each side, but whatever happened, preceding that helmet hit, to me doesn't matter because Myles Garrett went over the line with that helmet hit. That was just uncalled for. Honestly, it's assault, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's suspended for a pretty long time. And after watching that a few times, personally, I mean, I know Myles Garrett's a great player, but this is just something that's uncalled for. And I wouldn't be upset to see him never play another play in the NFL again. That's just something that's uncalled for, and it shouldn't ever happen in this NFL league, ever.
Absolutely not. And the problem I had with it the most is, like you said, it's not only assault, but it's actually assault with a deadly weapon because that's a metal helmet with a little bit of padding on it, and he hit him with the metal of the helmet. That is assault with a deadly weapon. And if you did that out on it, like with anything, you would be locked up for it. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad if they actually do press charges on him. The other thing you said, you wouldn't be mad if they or they suspend him for the rest of his life and just actually ban him from the NFL, and I'd be okay with that as well. I said I don't think he should come back until the 21-22 at the earliest. That was just an absolute bad play, and it puts a really bad image on the sport too, because that is a primetime game. That's the winding down of a primetime game, and that's how you ended the game on your team. Your team was already out in the lead. You didn't need to do anything like that, and you went ahead and just ruined your reputation and made your team look bad. However,
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield after the game really came out and said what needed to be said from a quarterback that looks like he's ready to take over this franchise.
Yeah, it was a classless move by Myles Garrett. It really was. And I don't condone it at all. I think it was a terrible play. And if he's suspended for however long, it's due justice because he needs to be suspended, fined, and whatnot. It just wasn't good. And what Baker Mayfield said, yeah, that was great. What he did exactly what he needed to do, take back his franchise after winning 2 games in a row, and he wasn't he wasn't disrespectful towards Myles Garrett because at the end of the day, that's still his teammate. But he was still straightforward enough to say, "Hey, that was wrong," and he needed to be that leader, that star, that celebrity for that Cleveland Browns team that he is, and he did a great job with that. So I will say a great job on Baker Mayfield. However, for Freddie Kitchens, I don't think he did a great job on his press conference. I think he had some terrible quotes regarding that people get hit with helmets to helmets all the time, things like that. And I don't think that was a great call. But both quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield and Mason Rudolph, had some professional conversations on the post game, especially Baker Mayfield.
Jarvis Landry also didn't have the greatest statement about it. He was actually laughing about it until he seen the footage, and then he wasn't really laughing. I mean, a lot of people they're taking it for granted because that was actually like we're talking about. It's actually an assault, and he could have done a lot of damage. He could have actually split the top of Mason Rudolph's head open with that helmet. And then what happens? Then
Yeah,
that's an actual assault, and that's actually very dangerous, and it never happened in the NFL. This didn't happen in the old days of the NFL. There may have been slaps to the side of the helmets at the worst of the NFL, but people weren't ripping each other's helmets off and swinging them at each other. That's just not something that happens in the sport, and that's a classless move. And like you said, if he gets banned for it, I wouldn't be completely upset about it because I understand it. He is a phenomenal talent. He is one of those guys that can hit the edge of their line perfectly, but at the same time, what's it worth if that guy's going to do things like that?
yeah. I'm rocking my Pittsburgh Pirates hat today in the support of Steelers on this side because Myles Garrett, it was just awful. It was a terrible, terrible thing by Garrett, and he hit him with the bottom of the helmet. Although it's still a metal side, Rudolph kind of took it like a champ, if I'm being honest. But if he
Yeah,
would have hit that on the other side and it was the crown of the helmet, who knows? We could have seen a lot of some terrible things on live television, and kids watch that even though it's later in the game, and it's just uncalled for. It's a classless act in the NFL in general, but especially on a national televised event like a primetime Thursday night football game.
absolutely. All right, so let's get off of that subject and let's get into the NBA.